A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another, graphic novel review today. So, cheers. Oh, yeah. Today I am looking at Volume 1 of the all-new X-Men. This basically is issues 1 to 10 with some extra content added at the end. All New X-Men is a very old comic. It came out, I believe, in May of 2012 was the first issue. And basically this is melding the original X-Men team with the new X-Men, which, there's been a schism after the events of Avengers versus X-Men, which I'll talk about in the video. So this is going to be a spoiler-filled look at issues 1 to 10 of the all-new X-Men. So yeah, let's just get right into the next episode of...
Read a fucking book. 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 People.
So this is All New X-Men. Now you can see from the cover here, this is volume 1, this is issues 1 to 10. You can see from the cover that we have Angel, Beast, Iceman, Jean Grey, and Cyclops in their original costumes. They were the original 5 X-Men. But of course, because he's the most popular character, they have to put Wolverine on the cover. Okay, fair enough. So let's open this and see what we can see. So we have the original team up here, a little explanation as to who the X-Men are, if you don't already know. And we've got Emma Frost, Cyclops, and Magneto. Now this takes place after the events of Avengers versus X-Men, where the Phoenix Force split between 5 of the X-Men, and it's culminated in Cyclops killing Professor Xavier, and now he's kind of gone rogue. So here we have the original members, and we have the allies of Cyclops with Emma Frost, Magneto, Magic, and this guy. So we start in the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning. It is no longer the Xavier Institute of Higher Learning, or whatever they're calling it these days. And we see Beast is in terrible pain. He's kind of narrating that his genetic mutation is kind of evolving, and this time it might kill him. We see Storm, who is basically calling him, saying there's something that you have to come and see. And then we go to the Gold Coast, Australia, where these girls are kind of going to this club. One of them wants to hook up with a guy there. She meets the guy, they have a bit of a chat, and then her brother comes up and is like, back the fuck off. The guy's like, hey, chill, man, and punches him in the face. This gets the girl kind of freaking out. And hold on, let me see if I can get rid of that glare. Maybe turn this light off and that'll help. There you go. So he punches the guy. The girl kind of freaks out, and then her mutation kicks in. And her mutation is the ability to stop time, which is pretty cool. She doesn't quite understand what is happening. She doesn't know what is going on, like a lot of young people who get their mutation for the first time. That's prevalent through, every decade, every era of the X-Men. And we have Cyclops, Emma Frost, and Magneto turning up and explaining to her that she's a mutant, that she did this, but they are here to help her. When she manages to lower the time bubble, there's a ton of police officers all around her ready to attack her because she's a mutant, or at least place her under arrest. And Cyclops, the White Queen, and Magneto make short work of that. So at the Jean Grey School, because Cyclops has kind of gone rogue, they're kind of talking about what are they going to do here. It looks like Cyclops is starting this revolution, mutants against humans. So they're kind of discussing what to do. We've got Iceman, Kitty Pryde, and Storm. Beast is going to join them shortly. Then we go to Ann Arbor in Michigan. At a police station, there's a young man that's been apprehended. They suspect him of being a mutant. And once again, Cyclops and Magic come in this time and rescue this guy. And Cyclops kind of does a little declaration of war. So they're headed to the Blackbird. The headmasters, Beast, Storm, Kitty Pryde, and Iceman. And they're kind of pissed off because they don't know how to handle Cyclops. They don't know how to handle the situation. And Iceman makes a suggestion that he says if young Scott Summers could see what he's become, maybe things will turn out differently. Maybe the young Scott Summers will take a different path in the future. And Beast is like, hold on a minute. That's a good idea. So we are back in the past. We know this because Beast has not yet mutated into a blue furry. And Beast is incredibly pissed off because they were attacked on the street by people that hate mutants. And he's like, you know what? I'm fed up with fighting for humans. They can pretty much go fuck themselves. I'm done. I quit. And as he storms off, there's a knock at the door, and it is Beast from the future. And he basically explains that there is going to be mutant genocide. I want you to come to the future and help stop it. And they all agree, which leads us into issue 2. Kitty Pryde is looking for Beast, and he hasn't been in communication with them. So she phases into his lab, his room, and sees that the whole thing is completely trashed. Beast has some fail-safes set up in his lab as well. So Beast manages to convince them to come to the future. He lets them know that it's Scott that's going to cause this. Scott is going to bring about this mutant apocalypse. They don't believe him, of course. And he says to Jean, listen, if you don't believe me, read my mind. And she's like, what? I can read minds? Because she hasn't quite got that mutant ability yet. That's kind of an evolution that happens. So they kind of discuss it. They talk about how crazy this sounds. Beast is like, I can't go to the professor about this, because they're like, if this is going to happen, why don't you go talk to Xavier? He's the leader of us. And he's like, I can't go because Scott kills the professor. And they're like, what the fuck? So they discuss it. They make a unanimous decision. And they're like, all right, we're in. And they head to the future. And they are suitably freaked out. Wolverine, who is teaching in his costume for some reason, realizes what's going on, and he's like, this is wrong, we have intruders. He comes barreling out, and Jean Grey stops him. Cyclops hits him, Iceman freezes him, so on and so forth. And this is where the younger selves meet the older counterparts. Iceman meets Iceman. You know, Beast has already met Beast. But they notice there's no Angel and there's no Jean Grey. Beast's mutation kicks in again and he doesn't know what to do. In the meantime, all the young mutants are kind of confused by what's going on. Wolverine doesn't like what's happening either. And ultimately, Jean manages to put Wolverine to sleep because Wolverine's demanding that they go back. This is fucked up. The timeline's going to get all messed up. We've seen what happens when mutants jump in around in time. I mean, we had the Age of Apocalypse. We had some Bishop stuff. Angel and Jean are discussing why they aren't there. Scott is getting angrier, so he basically convinces the kids they steal the Blackbird and they fly off. Okay. So 10 days ago, we have a mutant being transported in a truck. Cyclops and Magneto and the Ice Queen want to liberate that truck, which they manage to do. And inside is Magik, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's... no, that's Emma Frost. That was Magik. No, it's Emma Frost. They all look the same these days. So they managed to liberate her. So that must have been Magik there. Hold on, let me just go back. Yeah, that was Magik. And they managed to capture Emma Frost, who's pissed off at Cyclops for leaving her. Those of you that don't know, Cyclops and Emma Frost had a very intense relationship. It started out as a psychic one when Jean Grey was still alive. Then when Jean Grey died, they hooked up. All of the cops are coming for the showdown and they hightail it out of there. Then we get at the University of Texas, we get a mutant protest. So that's kind of going on. This mutant doesn't understand their abilities or what is happening to them. Cyclops has taken his anger out on nothing, and Magneto comes up and says, "Stop being a fucking baby." Gives him his visor back. Magik appears, says, "Hey, we've got a problem." And Emma Frost reveals that there is another mutant, so they go to the University of Texas. But the original X-Men get there first. Don't ask me how they've been tracking him, but they have. Okay, Scott and Scott come face to face with each other. And it's going to be a bit of a shock because in their time, Magneto is the enemy and now he's working for Scott, or with Scott, I should say. So we get this fantastic panel where is just explaining what has been going on, and they kind of basically are trying to get the other team to pretty much stand down. Is the point here? So they start to fight. Cyclops and Cyclops are kind of not so evenly matched. And the other X-Men basically are throwing down, and Magneto's like, "Get us out of here, Magik." And she manages to teleport them away. That's one of her abilities. Magik, of course, being the sister of Colossus. So they manage to kind of regroup. And the mutant has now been outed as a mutant and gets taken to a Weapon X facility. So these are the mutants from the beginning at the Weapons X facility, which is where Cyclops, Magneto, and Magik and Emma Frost are hiding. So they discuss their plans. Emma Frost is still pretty pissed off about everything. Back at the mansion, they're trying to save Beast's life. This mutation is actually killing him, and none of the X-Men really know what to do. Jean Grey is starting to hear voices. This is where her reading minds, her telepathy starts to blossom, and she can't kind of shut it off. So Angel at this point is really annoyed. He doesn't think they should be here. And he's kind of worried because he doesn't know what's happened to himself. No one's told him. Emma and Cyclops have a back and forth. Cyclops is like, can you leave me the fuck alone? The X-Men return back to the mansion, and they're in a little bit of trouble, I guess, because, you know, Storm and Kitty Pryde were supposed to be kind of looking out for them. Young Beast thinks that he can help Beast with his mutation, so he kind of gets to work on that, but it looks like he is too late. Or is he? So we have Jean Grey has now kind of gone into Beast's mind, created this kind of room. So she's kind of a little confused, but it's a way for her to communicate with young Beast and old Beast, kind of get them both together so that they can work out what's going on without endangering Beast's body. So Beast kind of gets to work on this, and at the University of Texas, the outed mutant is kind of having a rough time. Scott goes there and talks to the mutant, tries to get the mutant on his side. But old Scott yeah, that's right. He's a shapeshifter. He can make himself look like other people. Okay. I forgot about that. So Scott kind of manages to recruit him and brings him back to the Weapons X facility. Meanwhile, Beast has kind of had a bit of a breakthrough. Kitty Pryde is trying to talk to him, but he's too busy working. And Beast basically reveals everything to Jean Grey about kind of what's going on and what happened to her. And she looks into his mind and sees everything that's happened. The wedding, the Black Queen, Phoenix Force, Dark Phoenix, all the kind of stuff. And she can't really handle this. That's a lot to put on a person. It's a great splash page, however. She freaks out, releases a burst of psychic energy. And we get back to Beast, who believes he has found the cure. Wolverine and Storm are trying to talk them into going back. And young Beast brings Beast out, and he's doing okay. His mutation has kind of fixed itself now. So they get into an argument. They kind of take a vote. Who wants to stay, who wants to go. And The only person that votes we should go home is Angel. Everyone else votes to stay. Kitty Pryde is like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this right. And Scott goes to talk to Jean, but Jean has seen what happens in Beast's head, and she's like, leave me the hell alone. We have Professor Kitty Pryde, head of the Institute, with the beautiful silhouette of Charles Xavier behind her. So, she's dreaming that Scott and Magneto come to visit her. Wolverine kind of stabs her. This is all a nightmare. She wakes up and she's trashed Kitty Pryde's room because Kitty Pryde gave her her room to stay in. So Kitty Pryde comes in and don't worry about the mess. I usually have a messy room as well. Tries to calm Jean Grey down. In the meantime, Scott is feeling ostracized because all of the students at the Institute know he's the one that killed Xavier. He goes into the garage, sees Wolverine's bike and steals it. Wolverine hears this and he's like, you son of a bitch, and chases after him. In the meantime, Jean Grey is having all of these, hearing the psychic voices, and Kitty Pryde helps her to kind of get this under control. So she basically says, go down and get something to eat. Storm basically tells Jean Grey, you're the leader of this group. And Jean Grey's like, I'm not. Scott's the leader. And Storm's like, they don't trust Scott, but they trust you. So you're going to have to step up and be the leader. So this is a nice change of pace, because in most iterations of the X-Men, Scott Summers is the leader. When Jim Lee split the X-Men into two teams, I believe it was gold and blue. Storm was the leader of one, Scott was the leader of the other, so it's good to see Jean Grey getting a leadership role here. Scott is a little kind of out of sorts because of the way the world looks and everything. So he wants to kind of find a map. This woman is like, don't you have a fucking cell phone? Wait a minute, you're one of the X-Men. I know you. And then Wolverine catches up to him and drags him out, and they get into an argument. And Scott is like, you've got to go back. Don't fucking go off on your own. Wolverine, was like, you've got to go back. Don't go off on your own. And Scott's like, leave me the hell alone. And they get into a bit of a tussle. And Scott blasts Wolverine onto the roof and fucks off. And Wolverine is now mega pissed. So Angel is back at the mansion. He's flying around. And then he comes across himself. Still has the metal wings here. The wings that were given to him by Apocalypse. After the fight in the sewers with Mr. Sinister and the Reavers and the Morlock massacre. And he's really happy to see his younger self. Young Angel doesn't quite understand what the mutation is. Now, this is a really weird time in the X-Men, because at this point, Angel has like healing abilities where he can heal someone with a touch. So he kind of like is a real angel now. That's part of his mutation. Don't quite know what was going on there or why people thought that would be a good idea, but there you have it. Now we move to Mystique, and someone is showing her the fight between Cyclops and Wolverine, and she's like, okay, this is interesting. Okay, issue 7 has Scott Summers going into a bank, talking to the bank teller. The bank teller is really happy to see Scott. She knows Scott's a mutant, and it's just making her day better because her day is usually mundane and boring. She takes him down. He gets to his safety deposit box where he's got a load of cash, and there are some wedding invitations saved, which he thought was pretty cool. As he's leaving the bank, Wolverine shows up. The guards are like, fucking, there's mutants in the bank. What the fuck are we going to do? Are they robbing the bank? Wolverine shows them his Avengers membership card, which, I mean, that's like the back credit card from Batman and Robin. It's kind of stupid, but there you have it. And manages to get Scott out of the bank. Basically, Wolverine berates him. And then it turns out that it's not Wolverine at all, it's Mystique. Mystique has taken Wolverine's form because she needed it to be believable. She needed Scott to believe that Wolverine would be there to kind of pull her out of the bank. They sit and they have a talk, and Scott is basically saying, why is everyone blaming me for something I haven't actually done yet? They're all angry at me when they should be angry at future me. It's kind of pissing me off, and Mystique gives him a bit of a pep talk and says, you should go, you should kind of sort all of this out. You can do it. Blah, blah, blah. Scott's like, oh, okay, cool. She takes the form of his classic kind of animated series look. And then basically sends him on his way with a bit more confidence than he had before. Wolverine eventually catches up with him, but he doesn't tell anyone that he met Mystique, and Wolverine's going to take him back to the school. At this point, Kitty Pryde is trying to train the X-Men. They need to learn battle skills because when they were taken from the past, they were pretty much fucking rookies. Iceman, being Iceman, doesn't want to. He's goofing around, and she's like, okay, how about this? You try hit me, no powers. If you hit me, do whatever you want. If you don't, do and train in my way. She takes him out really, really easily. Scott returns, walks up to Jean Grey, shows her the wedding invitation he got from the safety deposit box, and then walks off like the brooding, moody cunt that he is. Okay, we're up to issue 8. Angel and Angel are flying around together, just having a good time, when they stumble across Madam Hydra. Madam Hydra is trying to destroy the Avengers Mansion. Future Angel is like, hey, let's go have some fun with these. And they fly down, and they basically are commenting on how lame it is that they are attacking the Avengers Mansion when the Avengers aren't there. Like, that's a pussy move. So they get into a huge fight. They're all kind of flying around, just basically blowing shit up, having a good time, you know, doing their thing. And young Angel kind of gets a little in over his head. But as Future Angel says, the good thing is I'm not going to let you die, because if you die, I die. So there you go. At this point, the Avengers show up, and it's pretty much all over for Hydra. We have Captain America, Hawkeye, the Hulk, Spider-Woman, and Thor. Thor thanks the two angels, basically says, we owe you a debt for protecting our home. And then Captain America's like, hey, there's 2 of them. What the fuck is going on? So they fly the Quinjet over to the mutant school, and Captain America wants to have a talk with Beast. He basically realized that the X-Men are playing with the fucking timeline again. Iceman, future Iceman, and Kitty Pryde kind of do this little mock conversation, what they think Captain America is saying to Beast, which is, it's actually pretty funny. And then Cyclops goes over and interrupts them, and he's basically telling Captain America, just give me a chance to fix all this. And Captain America is like, okay. And Wolverine's like, nice one. And then the Avengers basically, they say, keep us updated on what's going on. At this point, there is a kind of a disturbance in the lab. And when they get there, they discover that Angel is trying to use the time cube that Beast used to go to the past in order to get back home again. He does not want to be here. So Jean Grey basically comes in and sets everyone in their place. She says, I can read your minds. Stop worrying, I'm in total control. Now we have Mystique and Sabretooth. So Kitty Pryde has the X-Men in a danger room situation, fighting Sentinels. For those of you that don't know, Danger Room is basically a holographic training room where you can kind of program dangers that are about as real as they come. There was a point where Professor Xavier found out that the Danger Room had in fact evolved into a mutant itself, but he didn't tell anyone and he still kept it trapped. It was a really weird period of time. So they fight, they think they're doing well, when in actual fact they are not. And Kitty Pryde says, it's all because you didn't know enough about like my powers. They tried to save her from a Sentinel, but she can phase through them. When she phases through electronics, it fucking makes them go haywire. She's an incredibly powerful mutant with a really cool ability. Who once phased a giant rocket through the entirety of the Earth at one point. I believe that was in Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon's run. So they kind of realize that they messed up and that they kind of need more training. In the meantime, Scott is still brooding, and they basically, Kitty Pryde's berating the team, and they just all walk away, and she's like, what the fuck? Don't walk away when I'm talking to you, you little shits. Okay, now we go to the Raft, which is a maximum security prison. And here we have Maria Hill has apprehended Sabretooth and is bringing him to the Raft. And the guards are like, wait a second. You're not supposed to be here. And she's like, I know, this just happened. Oh, wait a minute. No, it didn't. And Sabretooth gets loose and goes on a killing spree. Maria Hill is actually Mystique, of course. And she goes in to rescue Mastermind. Now, this isn't the Jason Wingard Mastermind from the Chris Claremont run, who used his mind control powers to make Jean Grey fall in love with him and mess her up so badly that was kind of the beginning of the Dark Phoenix saga. This is his daughter, and she has the same kind of powers. She used to be on the X-Men team, but she's more like her father. So her ability, she can make people see whatever she wants them to see. And in this case, she frightens the guards by making them see the Marvel superheroes as zombies or monsters of some description. Beast is doing all of his calculations and reconnaissance, and Angel comes to speak with him and basically just allays his fears. At this point, the team that Cyclops has with Magneto, Magic, and the new Mastermind arrive on the grounds. They want to have a talk. So we get to number 10. We're in North Carolina, where basically the X-Men are going on a mission because there is something bad is going to happen. Money is going to be stolen. But it is not the X-Men. It is Mystique. Oh wait, that wasn't Mastermind. That was Emma Frost. No, Mastermind's with Mystique, right? Mystique and Sabretooth, and Mastermind basically had them believe that the Young X-Men and Wolverine had attacked and stolen $18 million. So that was her plan all along. She wanted young Scott to distract old Scott while she and her mini brotherhood of evil mutants went on a crime spree. So old Scott meets young Scott. We have Krakoa, which was a living mutant island. It is now the grounds for the Xavier School. Eating them, but they very simply get spat out again. Scott wants to explain himself to his younger self, but ultimately it becomes a showdown between him and his former teammates, where they're kind of butting heads and whatnot. And then they leave. So at this point, Scott reveals that he did meet Mystique. They're all like, what the fuck do you fucking say, you idiot? And Wolverine basically sends all the students back to class. At the raft, the actual Maria Hill comes and sees all the carnage that Sabretooth kind of did. So Jean Grey is lamenting that she couldn't read the minds of Scott, Emma Frost, Magik, and Magneto. And they're trying to work out where their base is. They don't realize it's kind of in the Weapons X facility. So they're searching around, looking for the base. Maria Hill contacts them and lets them know that Mystique and Sabretooth busted out Mastermind. And Scott goes out to talk to his future self without everyone else, but they'll come out to follow. Basically, they have come back to recruit Scott to their cause. They have the Stepford Cuckoos. Basically, what they did was they said to all the mutant students, you can come and join us. You don't have to stay here. And the Stepford Cuckoos, who were, I think they were clones of Emma Frost. There were 5 of them, but 2 of them have died. The Stepford Cuckoos join, and one other person joins. I'm coming with you. You can't do this, but we don't know who it is. And that's where issue 10 leads. So, what did I think of... What did I think of this storyline? These are all like variant covers. There's a bit of a script. Some art pieces. It was fun. The art was fantastic. There was a lot of unnecessary dialogue, in my opinion. But all in all, I think this was a pretty solid story. I don't know how many issues this ran for overall. I do know at the end of this entire run, Beast and the Watcher have a bit of a showdown, which was pretty cool. Would I recommend it? Yeah, sure. It's a great time. However, we're at this point in the X-Men where there are a lot of characters that I just don't know. Characters like Quentin Quire, and I'm not really sure about the Stepford Cuckoos either. Things like that. I'm glad Magik gained more prominence. No idea what happened to Colossus. It's a really toned down roster of X-Men. And in a way that's good, in a way that's bad. You know, you want to see your favorites, Gambit, Rogue, Bishop even. But Yeah, I do find it interesting as well that they brought the original X-Men to the future, and now they've got to kind of work with the new X-Men. That's a pretty cool premise. So there you have All New X-Men Volume 1, collecting issues 1 to 10. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos that I upload. But most importantly, stay safe, have a fantastic rest of your day, and please, please, please read a fucking book, people.